From the top of Crown Hill to the depths of the catacombs, Indianapolis has a rich history with darker secrets. So this season, Indiana Landmarks let us follow along on a tour where you'll learn the surprising roots of a local legend.
I talk about it as a space that's hidden from public view, that gives you a unique view of Indianapolis, and that can connect you back to some of those folks that came before us. The building that it was once a part of was completed in 1886. It was called Tomlinson Hall, and it was meant to be a sister building to Indianapolis City Market. It was actually designed by the same architect, and it was meant to hold additional vendors and also to be a convention center. The only thing above ground that marks that Tomlinson was once here is the Tomlinson Arch. And so if you aren't paying really close attention, it would have been easy to just walk right over the top of this.
What started the fire?
It's a great question, and one that's still a historical debate. They, so far as we know, never released an official cause. It actually frustrated the newspapers quite a bit, and so they came up with a tongue-in-cheek response. Just like Chicago had Mrs. O'Leary's cow, Indianapolis had a pigeon. And the pigeon must have picked up a lit cigarette and dropped it on top of the building. As the building came down, there was a lot of brick above ground, and they needed to get rid of that and have it hauled away. And so that happened in about June, and by November of that year, you see ads in local newspapers advertising new build houses on the outskirts of the city with a piece of history in it, because they have Tomlinson Hall brick. You'll notice the arches that stick out. They were meant to be very functional because, of course, we know throughout time that arches are a really strong way to build something. And so as you look, you can kind of get the sense that even if we hadn't seen the postcard of Tomlinson Hall, you could get an idea that something really heavy had once been above us. In the 1970s, there was a proposal that they would actually put in a restaurant down in the space. But the economic climate being what it was, it didn't work out. And the Catacombs name comes from that restaurant that they had planned to put down here. That was the name of the project. There have been a variety of proposals over the years, but for now, we're happy to give tours of it, and Indianapolis City Market is really excited to host events as well.
What stands out to you when you tell people about the history of Indianapolis here in the catacombs?
I think that link back to our convention past, but also just to remember, you know, we have the reputation as a flyover state, and just to remember all of the activity that was happening here, even in the 1880s and the early 1900s. So these are Indiana limestone, and they're a great clue that this space wasn't necessarily meant to be for public consumption, because you can still see the quarry marks in the limestone. They would have maybe smoothed that over if they had planned for folks to be down here.
Yeah.
So when Tomlinson was around, it was used as storage space for market vendors. It also held all of the apparatuses that kept that large building going. And then as Tomlinson sort of began to shift out of favor and eventually came down, it was used as a shooting range for a number of years, and also eventually used for fundraising events, haunted houses.
So scary, you'll want your mummy. The Creatures of the Catacombs is a Halloween treat that's still coming alive, if you call this living.
This is an animatronic dog we got from the movie Sandlot.
People really don't know what to expect when they come down here. We've had folks show up in parkas thinking that it's going to be really cold, but because it doesn't have the building above it, it often can get very warm because of the sun on the plaza. I think personally my favorite part is just getting to connect people with history, seeing them walk in and seeing the pieces of the space and of the tour that connect with different people, because there are lots of different facets to the building and its story. And so maybe somebody's interested in bricks, maybe they're interested in, you know, the events that happened, and it's wonderful to get to connect them with that.